Shabbat Shalom to all the truth seekers and truth believers out there who are believing in the one true God, Yahweh, and His Word, and using it as a book of reproof and correction, applying those laws, statutes, commandments to our lives in order to make it to the kingdom ahead. Shabbat Shalom. Hope all is well. Hope all had a great Feast of Tabernacles. I'm sorry about last week. Had an issue with the camera, wasn't working correctly. But now I have another one, and now it is working exactly how it should be. Hope all is well. Today's lesson pretty much going to be focusing on the pagan holiday known as Halloween, which is coming up on the Gregorian pagan calendar, which is, I think it was next Sunday, I believe, the day before All Saints Day in the Christianity faith. So we're going to be just pinpointing the origins of this specific day, the different characteristics of it, how it connects to paganism and evilness, and just where in the Bible does the Most High condemns these specific practices and this so-called holiday that most of us in America and in other countries as well is partaking in. So let's go ahead and get into it for today. And also, it's raining today, a little thunder, a little lightning, so you may hear some rumbles of thunder throughout this lesson. Okay, so again, as usual, the three verses I think go hand in hand with one another as you are studying the scriptures and applying it to our life, and it gives life a specific purpose. So Isaiah 28 at verse 10, Isaiah 28 at verse 10, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So this is exactly how we should be reading the Bible to get a better understanding of specific concepts that is written throughout the scriptures. There are over 200 books that has been written for the children of Israel, and we just can't read that book from front to back and assume that we know everything about it, because we're going to forget about these specific concepts we read in Genesis as applied to what we should have read in Revelations or in other apocryphal books. So we have to find those precepts, find other mentions of that specific concept in scripture to get a better understanding of it at that specific time. You know, it's going to take a minute for us to read the Bible. Let me not say Bible, the scriptures. It's too many books. It's very long. We're going to forget about specific concepts and specific meanings of things if we're just reading it front to back. So we have to find those precepts to get a better understanding of specific topics. Make sure that we're getting it in context, line upon line. That's what the line upon line means. Here a little and there a little. So make sure that we're reading the scriptures correctly, not like most of these churches are doing, is hitting one verse and not even finding those precepts to get a better understanding of what that verse is telling us to do, or the meaning of that specific verse. 2 Timothy 2 at 15, 2 Timothy 2 at 15, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You have to prove that you are worthy of the kingdom ahead to the Most High. And that's by studying the scriptures, keeping your mind and meditating on it as much as possible, learning what you should be doing and what you should not be doing, and applying that to our life. That is what studying the scriptures is all about. The purpose is to make it to the kingdom ahead. So you have to keep your mind in it. Figure out what you should be doing, applying that to your life, and not being ashamed of that. So there are many different religions out here that are targeting the Hebrew Israelites for saying that the Old Testament is still in place, because they're not reading the Bible precept upon precept, so they're assuming that the New Testament is the new covenant, when the whole scriptures are still being applied. Only one law has been done away with, and that is the law of sacrifice. From scriptures, from precept upon precept, by rightly dividing the word of truth, finding the meaning of these specific concepts, going to other books to find truth. That's what rightly dividing the word of truth is all about. Being able to understand the precepts. And you got to study to do that. You can't just go in the Bible and just read and assume you can find these precepts. You have to study it. You have to find it. Okay? Ecclesiastes 12:13. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Our purpose is to use that book as a correction on our life. We are all sinners. Okay? We are all born into a world where sin is okay, based off these other nations, the heathen nations, who are pretty much doing what they want, worshiping what they want, have these so-called holidays in place, all these laws that goes against the Bible in place, and we're aligning ourselves with these religions that has nothing to do with Scripture. These religions just pick and choose what they want to believe and add their own beliefs to it. So the whole duty is to study the Scriptures, use it as a book of reproof and correction, fear Yahweh by doing that, and keeping his laws and applying that to our lives. That's the purpose of man and the whole duty of making it into the kingdom. So our lesson focus today, and I think this lesson focus can go to pretty much any so-called holiday that we are worshiping or celebrating today on the Gregorian calendar. Okay, the Most High gave us a calendar to follow, but we are stiff-necked and refusing to follow what is written for us as the chosen people of the Most High. So just to be straight up and put it all out there, the Most High gave us so-called holidays, which are known as holy days, we should be keeping. And most of these days on this Roman calendar, this Gregorian calendar, have nothing to do with the Most High. Just think about it. What makes you think these days are holy if you are using a heathen calendar? What makes you believe these days are holy in the sight of the Most High if we're using a heathen calendar? The Gregorian calendar, the one that we're using today, January, February, March, April, May, June, so forth, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What makes you believe using this specific calendar that these holidays are holy in the sight of the Most High? The Most High commanded us to follow a specific calendar, which contains the days in which we were to celebrate, the holy days that are mentioned in the book of Leviticus. So we can say that the Gregorian calendar consists of holidays that have nothing to do with Yahweh, but their own gods and paganism. That's what these days are all about. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Halloween, all these days is either man-made, has some type of pagan connection that they try to make holy, or actually a worship of pagan gods, heathenistic gods. Like Easter, that's the god of Ishtar. That's a Babylonian god. There is a specific reason this book was written, and an important reason why the Most High commanded us to not do the things that these other nations do. We were to have a set apart lifestyle. That's why this book was written. The Israelites refused to hearken to the Most High. They were stripped of their heritage. And the Most High said, in the land of our captivity, throughout these many captivities, we are going to realize what our heritage is. We're going to come back to our heritage that he gave us. How can we, if we went through 7 different captivities, lost in heritage, lost in history, names have been stripped from us, how will we be allowed to go back to our heritage? The only way is if it's written somewhere, and it's written in the scriptures. That is the heritage, the true history, the true lifestyle of the Israelite nation, the chosen people who have been placed in captivity and are placed under so many curses today. The ones who have been brought to America on slave ships. The ones who have been placed in many different captivities and oppressed by other nations. It's that simple, y'all. We have to break out of that mental mindset that we're in, that we've been placed in by these other nations, to be confused, stiff-necked, and not care about the truth, not care about our actual lifestyle anymore, not care about our God and what he wants us to do. All these nations partake in ways of the word. They try to take the word and make it something and tie it into something else. Same way with these holidays. They're trying to take these so-called pagan holidays and transition it into something good. But the celebration of that day is still about that pagan god or that pagan ritual. These are the worship of pagan gods, and it's being hidden. That's why you're still celebrating these days, still in honor of their gods, or even themselves, like birthdays. The Most High tells us not to partake in any of the ways of these other nations. If you are a person, if you are a believer of the Most High God and a believer of the scriptures, you should not be applying yourself into the ways of this world and applying your life to the ways of the scripture. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 2. Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 2 says, "Thus says Yahweh, Most High, learn not the way of the heathen." Again, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the sights of heaven, the signs of heaven, excuse me. For the heathens are dismayed at them. They don't care about the signs of heaven. They want to continue to live in their world today that was given to them by the Most High, their rulership, while we are oppressed and on the bottom of society. The chains may not be physically there, but mentally and spiritually they're there. And a lot of our people cannot see that through. They don't understand that. Learn not the way of the heathen. That means anything that goes against the scripture. This Bible, with the scriptures, the Most High gave us a set of holy days to keep. Only one of them are on the Gregorian calendar, and that's Passover. All the other holidays, on that calendar has nothing to do with the Most High. Nothing. All right, so let's get into some history of Halloween. So where did it come from? What is it all about? And how did we get to where it is today? So history of Halloween. All holidays are evil. We pretty much can identify that in scripture. We pretty much can tie it into something from history that has nothing to do with the Most High. Anything that has nothing to do with the Most High is considered evil in the sight of the Most High. So all holidays are evil, as well as your own birthday. That's the worship of yourself. You're putting yourself above anybody else. The Most High doesn't recognize any of these pagan holidays. Many people across the world celebrate these evil holidays, Christians and others so-called religions as well. In fact, the Most High doesn't even care about these holidays or even bless them. So why are we partaking in them? Why are we using these days as a day of celebration? In truth, the Most High curse those days rather than honor them. All those feast days, he don't want to smell your foods on these days, because it's not a worship of him. It's a worship of some other beings, of self, that goes away from the sight of the Most High and what he wants us to do. Do you know where the word holiday comes from? The word holiday derives from the word holy day from Scripture. Holidays and holy days has nothing to do with one another. But that is where the word holiday comes from. Holiday instead of Hollyday. There's nothing holy about holidays. That's why they call it holiday. They're not holy. We're going to give you proof that we shouldn't celebrate this specific holiday. Okay, so let us take a look at one that is coming up, which is Halloween. That is what we're going to be talking about today. So the word Halloween originally comes from the medieval England's All Hallows Eve. Okay, All Hallows Eve. So this is back in medieval times. So we got to look in the history of everything that we partake in. We can't say, oh, it's good now, but what is the history behind it? The history tells you what is the true meaning of celebrating that day. So All Hallows Eve, or the Eve of All Saints Day, which is November 1st, is October 31st. So that's what Halloween originally is, All Hallows Eve. Its pagan origins can be traced back to Celtic festival of Samhain. Okay, so Samhain is a pagan ritual festival, feast day. It's a festival of pagan beliefs. Okay, a night of witchcraft. Okay, the souls of the dead were supposed to revisit their homes on this so-called day, and witches, goblins, black cats, and ghosts were said to roam about the streets at night. So this is why you see black cats as a theme of this specific day, witches, goblins, ghosts as being a centralized theme for this specific day. Okay, the night was also thought to be the most favorable time for divinations. So we see this word also in pagan Arabic traditions and also in Islam, divinations, which actually ties into their so-called god, pagan god at the time in Arabia, known as Hubble, which was one of Muhammad's pagan gods that were in the Kaaba during pagan Arabic times, which all ties into Islam. So anyway, divinations were favored at this time concerning marriages. So divinations like a telling of truth or going into the future. Okay, so they're trying to I guess wish upon something or try to say this is going to happen in the future. Basically like a what you call that? Future telling. Okay, so it will always be concerning marriage, luck, health, or even death. Okay, so this pagan observance influenced the Christian festival of All Hallows Eve, and that's when they started to celebrate this pagan holiday on the same day. So All Hallows Eve was then created Halloween, and this is where the Christian decide to worship this or celebrate this day on that same day. So you see it all ties into one another. We see where it was and we see where it is becoming. And we're still partaking in it, assuming that it's something good. When you got to remember, the beginning of things tell you if it is good or bad. The origins of this thing tells you if it is something good or bad, not what you make it today. So this holiday was then introduced into the United States in the late 19th century. It is even today known to be about pranks and witchcraft. So that's where trick or treat come in. At first it was just people going knocking on people's doors, vandalizing. As far as these pranks and these trick or treats, and some people call at the time in Black America nigga knock. They would knock and trick people that somebody at the door, or they can actually get a treat. Knock and actually say trick or treat, get your treat. So we got to remember that everything has an origin. Okay, we have to look at where did this come from? Why is this celebrated today? We have to look at the history of these specific holidays that we are partaking in, because it could lead you into something that you should not be going into. Partaking in these days is all about the origins, the beginning stage. Okay, so same thing as Christmas as it relates to Sanitalia. It's another pagan festival around the time of Christmas, around the winter solstice. Okay, all that is evil, and they're trying to make it into something good or fun or harmless. No, even with the harmless of it today, you still worshiping the origins of that specific day. So we have to break away from and look into the history to break away from what we are doing today that goes against the Most High and His orders and His days that He wants us to partake in. Okay, so Halloween today. When we look at Halloween today, we think of as old times, we think of evil spirits, the dead, witches, vampires, wizards, ghosts, etc. Today, we are more into, all fun and games and, kids just getting candy, and having fun and costumes and all this thing. So most of these entities are evil. I'm talking about the origins. So witchcraft, dealing with witchcraft, with witches, vampires, wizards, ghosts, evil spirits, dead spirits. Most of these, well, all of these entities, not most, all of these entities are evil and have elements of being, of not being righteous or holy. Okay. But today in America, they have moved and attempted to mold this holiday into something more about the community and the neighborhood friendly get-togethers rather than the ghost pranks and vandalism, witchcraft, etc. So today they're trying to make something bad that was once evil into something harmless and good. Okay, so people now believe that it is okay to celebrate these days because the meaning and celebration of the meaning has changed. This is not okay, because to the original reason for this day, we see that it was all about evil things. Paganism has nothing to do with the Most High, but we are trying to make it something good. You can't make something bad into something good. Okay, you are still partaking in the evil of that specific day or celebration. You are still partaking in the evil of that day and or celebration, even if you're trying to make it good. This brings us to the verse, Isaiah. The verse in the book of Isaiah mentions that people calling something good when it's actually evil. You can't make something good into something evil. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. So Isaiah chapter 5 at verse 20. Isaiah chapter 5 at verse 20. It says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. If the origins of that day is evil, it is forever going to be evil. You can't, no matter how hard you try to make this day holy, no matter how hard you try to make it harmless, and fun and just for the kids, this day will always be considered as an evil day in from the words of Scripture and the Most High. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil. Again, you're trying to form something evil into something good and saying that it's all harmless. And this goes into many other things, and this verse can be applied to many things that's going on today in this world. Same-sex marriages. We're trying to make something evil that goes against Scripture into something good. It can be applied to a lot of things. We are tying our lives into something right now that's going totally against the Most High, and He's going to bring His wrath for not obeying Him, for not listening to Him, for not applying those laws, statutes, and commandments, and orders, commandments to our lives. You can't make something evil into something good, no matter how holy you try to make it. Like Christmas. They want to say that it's the Messiah's birthday, when nowhere in Scripture it says that His birthday was on December the 25th. Anywhere near the winter solstice. They're attempting to make something evil into something good. Nowhere in Scripture does it says that the Messiah rose on Easter Sunday. Nowhere. They're tying that into a pagan holiday. That is the worship of another god. So again, today most people just move away from the spiritual element of this origin of Samhain, which was again a pagan celebration, a pagan ritual day, pagan festival of witchcraft. It became more of a family time as for us today, a time for children to go around to their neighbors in costumes of their favorite characters, receiving candy. Again, they're trying to make something bad into something good. At first, this was known as pranks and vandalism. People going door to door, playing around with people, doing pranks, vandalizing people's homes with the TP, with the toilet tissue, the eggs that is still being played around with today, still being used today. But now we're going door to door, asking for candy. Also, this has become a day of family parties. Families host parties, even in schools. They have Halloween parties. This day has brought forth a large number of horror movies as well. Right now on was it Sci-Fi and AMC and other networks, they're playing Halloween movies all month. Scary movies all month. So this holiday has brought forth these scary movies, horror movies that ties into the original theme of this so-called day. I'm not saying it's bad to not watch. It's entertainment. I'm saying this is where a lot of this stuff ties into this so-called pagan holiday, and we don't know why. we see a lot of scary movies that deals with dead people, witches, witchcraft, evil spirits, all of this, but we cannot tie this into why it's tied into this specific day. Why is October so themed on scary movies? Because October 31st, Halloween, the original meaning of this specific day. And we're partaking in this day, which goes against the Most High. And we're going to go into scriptures of where this is located, that we shouldn't partake in any of these practices that ties into this day. Next slide. I'm waiting for it to load, so excuse the time here. I'm not sure why it's not moving. It says not responding, so give it a couple seconds. But anyway, we see that we can connect a lot of things today into this specific day, the origins of this day, not into what is today, but the actual origins of this day, and how evil it is. And we are still just trying to make something that has nothing to do with the Most High and something good. Again, I'm still waiting on this. Well, instead of for us to wait, I can actually go into this. So this is the Satanic Bible. Again, I just have this just for study purposes. I don't believe in worshiping Satan. But again, I'm just using this for study purposes. And of course, you have to make sure that we are branching out to make sure that everything that we're studying is in alignment. So this actually is written in the Satanic Bible, and for this day, on page 96, it is the I probably ain't gonna be able to see it. It is the religious holidays of this satanic faith, satanic religion. And on page 97, and we're going to read that, page 97 of this book, it says that Halloween is one of the religious holidays of the satanic faith. So let's read that. It says Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Day falls on October 31st or November 1st. Originally, All Hallows Eve was one of the great fire festivals of Britain at the time of the Dirtrans. So again, this is pretty much what we just read. It is All Hallows Eve falls on the 31st, and it is a Celtic festival, pagan festival. But here it says it's a great fire festival of Britain. In Scotland, it was associated with the time when the spirits of the dead, the demons, witches, and sorcerers was unusually active and presumptuous. Paradoxically, All Hallows Eve was also the night when young people perform magical rituals to determine their future marriage partner. So again, that goes to divinations. The youth of the villages carried on with much merry making and sensual revelry, but the older people took great care to safeguard their homes. So that goes into that pranking and vandalism, safeguarding their homes from evil spirits, witches, and demons who had exceptional power that night. Okay, so that's just a history of one of the satanic holy days out of the Satanic Bible. Again, I do not believe in the satanic faith. I just have this book for study purposes, just like I have the Quran for study purposes. Okay, so please don't tie me in to this so-called faith in that in that little book there. Okay, so I highly encourage you to get it, just to study and see what this stuff is all about. It says a lot in here. It says a lot about birthdays in here. It's one of the most highest. That's actually on page 69. The highest of all holidays in the Satanic faith is birthdays. And that's one of the biggest days that a lot of our people are partaking in and don't know the meaning behind that day. Again, you have to understand the origins behind everything you partake in, because that's the true meaning and true celebration that you're partaking in today. Even though you're saying it's something good, you have to go back to the origin. Okay? So again, that was straight out of the Satanic Bible. So Halloween, and it finally was able to move on. So it looks like it's fixed. So Halloween Christian lineage. So the lineage of this specific day and the Christian faith or Christianity, modern Christians today. So as time passed and as Christianity took over in the world, and the pagan undertones of the so-called holiday, Halloween, were lessened, the basic traditions of the holiday remain a part of pop culture every year. So we see that this day is made of something good, and it's part of our everyday, every year, traditional yearly, lives. And I say y'all, our as in the world, not as in far as the true Israelites. We don't partake in this day, but in culture, it is a part of everyday life as it relates to this specific day. So they simply evolved and modernized. So this specific day evolved into what we see today, and modernized by so-called beliefs and trying to make something evil into something good. So the mystical ritual of the pagan origins over time became lighthearted and fun, and all about games under the modern Christian wing. For example, the somewhat heavy concept of connecting to the dead was replaced with more lighthearted idea of telling the future. Okay, so into divinations and so forth. Many Christians believe that this day is 100% harmless and had a time, and it's just a time for kids to have fun, to dress up as their favorite characters, go door to door to their neighbors, and receive a lot of junk, a lot of candy, and treats. So that's what it has become today. Again, trying to make something evil into something good. And some believe that their Messiah came to redeem everything, to make it all good, make it all new. So this is why a lot of Christians believe that these holidays are, and I'm noticing that my camera's a little off. I guess it's moving a little slow today. My internet is moving a little slow today. But anyway, a lot of Christians, and not even just Christians, a lot of people today believe that the Messiah came to redeem and to make everything new. So to make everything into something good, which is not the case. Again, because people are not reading precept upon precept and actually reading the other apocryphal books that should be aligned and should be used in the studying of the scriptures. A lot of us are led astray to believe these specific things because we're not reading precept upon precept, line upon line, and using all of the scriptures to get an understanding. We're just using the Old Testament and New Testament, so-called Old Testament and New Testament, which is not even half of the Bible. Not even, I keep saying Bible because that's what I'm used to saying. It's not even half of the scriptures. So we're not getting the full understanding of what that meant. So This is not the case. Maybe from the eyes of pagans and those who believe a false God, but the Most High, nor Yahshua, who is ignorantly known as Jesus Christ today, renewed anything in this manner. Nothing was renewed in this manner as it relates to these holidays, as it relates to evil and good. If it's evil, it's evil. If it's good, it's good from their origins. There is not a renewal of evil things to something good. What sense does that make? Where in scriptures do you find that besides in Revelations 21:5, which people keep continuing to tell me? Where's the precepts? Well, where are the precepts? Let me use correct English today. So there is no renewing of these so-called evil holidays. If it's evil, it's evil. If it's good, it's good. And the good ones are mentioned in scripture. This is just a miseducation and taking things out of context. So again, they always reference Revelations 25:1. Again, it's out of context. Where are the precepts? And I can never get a precept. Where else is this mentioned that Yahshua renewed evil things? Pagan is pagan, and origins matter. And we cannot make anything that was once evil into something that is good. Again, going back to Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, and that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So as we can see, this day has pagan origins, and this religion, or these religions, preferably Christianity that I'm focusing on today, took it as its own and attempted to make this day good. And we can pinpoint some Islamic religion holidays as well. But right now, we're just going to stick on Christianity, because I haven't gotten to the Islam stuff yet as far as their holidays. But I'm going to get there. We're going to get there. And we're going to see how their holidays attempt to align themselves with the holy days, and what is the origins of their days. And because there are origins of every holiday that are in these religions. I haven't studied that yet, but I will. Trust me, I will. So we can't make these days good. No way we can make these days good. All right, scriptures condemn. So let's get into the condemnation from the Most High of these specific practices. So as mentioned earlier in the lesson, we mentioned that this pagan holiday known as Samhain consists of evil works and entities such as witches and ghosts. The Most High condemns these practices in scripture. Let's take a look into that. So let's look at witches. Okay. So in Exodus chapter 22 at verse 18, Exodus 22:18, it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Let's go into a precept of that. You see how I'm going into precepts. Leviticus 20:27. Leviticus 20:27. A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, okay, shall surely be put to death. A man also a woman that has a familiar spirit that goes into people acting like other beings, or is in possession, their body is being possessed by some other spirit, other familiar spirit, or that is a wizard playing around with witchcraft, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Okay, so here it just tells you that these beings should be put to death if they are acting as wizards or witches. Okay, witchcraft was as much rebellion against Yahweh as idolatry was or blasphemy was, and deserved the same type of punishment, death. It says right there in scripture. Ghosts and wizards. Ghosts and wizards. This is Leviticus. So this is tying into what we just read. Leviticus 19 at 31. Leviticus chapter 19 at 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh, your God. Regardless not them that have familiar spirits, going back to tying that into Leviticus 28:27, neither seek after wizards. So it's talking about ghosts and wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh your God. Look into another verse. Deuteronomy chapter 18 at verse 10 through 12. Deuteronomy 18 at 10 through 12. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Now this is tying into parents and adults saying that it's for the kids. You're forcing your child into a practice of evil. You're forcing your child to partake in something that is evil, that goes against the Most High. It says right here, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divinations, or other observance of times, or any enchanters, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, ghosts, or a wizard, or a nursemer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahweh. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahweh. And because of these abominations, Yahweh thy God do drive them out from before thee. So it's telling us, the Most High tells us not to go into these things and not force our own children into partaking in these specific practices. Okay. Scriptures condemning is good. We're going to continue where we left off. So vampires, another little entity that is associated with this specific day. Leviticus chapter 7 at verse 26 through 27. Leviticus chapter 7 at 26 through 27. Moreover, ye shall eat no manner of blood, whether it be of fowl or of beast, in any of your dwellings. Whatsoever soul it be that eateth any manner of blood, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. So this is not just talking about, vampires eating or sucking blood, but that ties into what goes on in that specific practice. It also goes into the meals that you eat. That means that your food should be fully cooked. But we're going to focus on the lesson for today, which is Halloween. So vampires are known for sucking blood, and there's actually some practices out there where I don't want to say Illuminati, but other cults, that's the word I'm looking for, cults out there who actually drink blood as a ritual. So this goes back into this actually vampire thing. Yeah, back in that day, they actually had practices of blood. A lot of witches and sorcerers use blood. A precept to that will be the same verse that we read earlier, Deuteronomy 18 at verse 10 through 12. And I'm not going to read it again because we just read it. But again, that ties into that enchantments and divinations and witchcraft. That precept, like I mentioned earlier, goes out to the parents and the adults that think it's okay for their kids to partake in such events, partake in such evil days, holidays that has nothing to do with the Most High himself. You are leading the youth into destruction. It's not just for the kids that we'll keep saying. Don't push your kids or allow your kids to partake in these days that are evil in origin. It's all for the children. I should have put that in quotations, because now I feel like I'm saying it is okay. I should have put that in quotations. No, it is not okay. In life, we can say that most of the time adults are the ones leading our youth into their own destruction. And that's why the youth is the way they are now. Are the way they are. That's why they're acting the way they are now. Pretty much setting them up for failure. That's what adults are doing. Parents, as they allow them to partake in these days. Our decisions affect our children and their children and their children's children. And we are leading them through our own sins. So the verses that we just read, going back to Deuteronomy was 18, verse 10 through 12. That verse pretty much hits it on the point as it relates to us leading our kids into these practices. We should not lead our children into evil events or anything that goes against the Most High and His Word. Let's take a look at another verse. 2 Chronicles 33 at 6. 2 Chronicles 33 at 6. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also, he observed times and used enchantments and used witchcraft and dealt with familiar spirits, ghosts, and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. Doing such things makes the Most High angry, forcing him into wrath. Most parents today love to use their children for the reason that they sin against the Most High Yahweh. And I know that probably hit a nerve. A lot of parents believe, well, we didn't have all this when I was a child. I want to be able to give my child these things. No. If it's evil, why are you doing it? You wanted to do that sin when you were younger, so you're putting that on your kid just because you didn't partake in that event, and you want them to have that obligation, that experience, pushing them into sin. This is what the Messiah Yeshua, again, who is ignorantly known as Jesus Christ today, said about the misleading of our children. This is in the book of Matthew. The book of Matthew, chapter 18 at verse 6. Matthew 18 at verse 6. But whosoever shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me. It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that we were drowned in the depth of the sea. Again, but whoso shall offend one of these ones, and I keep reading on the smaller one, I need to read on the larger one. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that we were drowned in the depth of the sea. We have to remember our ways, our heritage, our holy days, especially if you say you believe in the Most High and his word. We have to do right by the innocents, the children who don't know the rights and wrongs yet. We have to teach them the rights and not lead them into evil and ways that goes against the Most High. We have to teach them the ways that are set apart and righteous, and that our children won't go around teaching the next generation these wicked ways that were taught to us by the following of the ways of our oppressors, the other nations, the heathen nations. Yahweh gave us a set-apart lifestyle, which is written in Scripture, including a set of holy days or feast days we should be keeping, and Halloween is not one of those days. So I'm going to leave you with this. Let this marinate in your spirit. Galatians chapter 5 at 19 through 21. Galatians chapter 5 at 19 through 21. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, emulations, wrath, strife, seditiousness, heresies, envying, murderers, drunkenness, revilings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. Remember, the duty of man is to fear Yahweh and keep his commandments. That means keep what is written in Scripture. Going astray and doing things that are not aligned to Scripture will lead you into not being inherited into the kingdom. And he gave us a list of everything that we should truly stay away from. Thus, we have to figure out and learn what are the origins of the days and the practices and the ways we are keeping. We have to do this. Even when you are attempting to make something good, we have to remember the origins, the true meaning, or the of this or the intention of this day, or these practices, or these events. This holiday is still associated with evil spirits and paganism. The original meaning of this day, the origins, the practices, all ties into paganism. It is also still celebrated by children in costumes who gather for candy by ringing of doorbells and calling out trick or treat, which goes back to the origins of this pagan day, referring back to the pranks and vandalism. And again, we still see vandalism today with the TPing and the egging of doors, egging of houses, windows, writing on buildings, etc. Pagan holidays will always be pagan, no matter whatever good things you try to tie it into that day, or trying to tie it into the Messiah, trying to tie it into good deeds or fun and games. The origins of the day is still aligned to what you're celebrating. What you're doing on that specific day still ties into the origins of that day. You are still celebrating Samhain, the pagan festival, feast day that took part in medieval times. The Bible tells us to not learn the ways of the heathen and do not partake in their ways, in their days, in their events. Nothing. We should stay away from all evilness, witchcraft, idolatry, etc. Again, pagan holidays will always be pagan in the eyes of the Most High, no matter what you try to do. So, with that being said, I hope you all got something out of this lesson. If you are not into the Hebrew Israelite faith as of yet, and you were found across this video and you watched it all the way through, and you got an understanding of why you should not be partaking in this day, please continue to study. Please continue to look into the scriptures. And I'm not just saying the Bible. I'm talking about all holy scripture, true holy scripture, not, the Talmud or the Quran, but actual scriptures. So apocryphal books that ties into the Most High and Yeshua, the Apocrypha, any other Apocryphal books, lost books, and just study. You have to keep your mind in it to get a better understanding. And also remember those 3 verses from the beginning. That's how you're going to get an understanding. That's how you are going to learn and tie what you've learned into your life. So again, if you were able to get something from this, all praise to the Most High for allowing it to come out. I'm tired, y'all. I'm in grad school. I work at a Title I school. This is the only day I have off. The only time I actually can just rest. So sorry if I look a little tired and seem a little down. I just haven't got much rest. I did get a lot of sleep last night. Actually didn't get up till around noon. So I got some rest, but I'm still tired. So excuse me for that. If anything was false in this lesson, may the Most High guide me into the truth as I correct myself through scripture. And please do not partake in this day next week. Please do not push your children into celebrating this day, no matter how much they want to do it, because they want to have the candy, they want to have all this other stuff. It all ties into something that is against the Most High. Thus, we cannot, no matter how hard it may be, we got to force ourselves to not partake in these pagan holidays that has nothing to do with the Most High. Okay? The Most High gave us Passover, Pentecost, Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Dedication, Day of Atonement, unleavened bread, first fruits, Feast of Weeks. He gave us those days. He gave us those days to keep. So we have to break away from these heathen ways and come back to the truth of Scripture, which is of the Most High, and what he tells us to do in Scriptures to be blessed and to make it into the kingdom. That's the purpose. That's what we have to do. Okay? So with that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your Shabbat. Continue to get your rest. Continue to study. And continue to be around like-minded individuals that have the same purpose as you, the same mission as you, and that is to learn the Scriptures, calling ourselves the chosen people of the Most High, and applying what we have studied into our lives in order to make it into the kingdom that is to come. With that, Shabbat Shalom. Catch you all later.